Even though I promised not to come back to this channel until Gaslight District drops, the latest news pretty much forced me to. Today we're talking about a so-called new drama that actually started like a month ago, but only now it's getting real attention, and how it might affect the upcoming episodes of the amazing digital circus. Cause yeah, I learned a lot while I was gone. It all kicked off on March 21st, when we got the final trailer for Gaslight District, officially marking a new direction for Glitch. But since most of the fanbase found out about Glitch thanks to Digital Circus, it's pretty obvious that TADC is the main thing people care about. So anything that's not TADC gets kinda brushed off. Which is exactly what happened to GD. A bunch of folks started spamming the comments under the Gaslight District trailer, begging for the release date of Episode 5 of the amazing Digital Circus. Naturally, that pissed off Gooseworx, the creator and main force behind TADC, and she clapped back saying, "Every time someone asks when TADC Episode 5 is coming out on a Gaslight District post, I will intentionally delay it for another 5 months." And honestly, what she said on Blue Sky? Yeah, I'm just gonna skip that part so YouTube doesn't hit me with a strike. But here's where it gets real wild. Everyone suddenly latched onto that 5 months thing, like it was an official delay. Like Goose literally said, "That's it, wait 5 more months." Now sure, Gooseworx could get mad and actually delay the episode on purpose, but come on, that doesn't really make sense. Glitch has a clear release schedule for new episodes, so to me, it just felt like a scare tactic, like a shut up already kind of message to the loudest people in the room. A lot of people, including me actually, were kind of worried way back that the release of Gaslight District might mess with the schedule for new Digital Circus episodes. I mean, now Glitch has got 2 shows running at the same time. Yeah, that could cause some slight delays, but worst case? Maybe, like, a 2-week push? Tops. And even that's a stretch. Episodes 5 and 6 are safe from this, and here's why. If you've been following Glitch for a while, you probably know that after dropping a pilot, they usually take some time to see how it performs before fully committing to the whole thing. So there won't be any serious work on Gaslight District right after the pilot drops. Basically, you can chill for now. For example, Murder Drones had over a year between its pilot and episode 2, and while I can see GD hitting those numbers eventually, Digital Circus might just stay unbeatable popularity-wise. And let's not forget, even though TADC was the #1 thing at the end of 2023, we still had to wait 6 months for episode 2. So yeah, delays happen, even when the hype is real. Bottom line, let's not turn a tiny spark into a full-on wildfire. The Digital Circus universe isn't going anywhere, and new episodes are still gonna drop on schedule, just like they would have even without Gaslight District in the mix. But hey, if you think otherwise, feel free to sound off in the comments. Oh, and almost forgot. With each new episode, the gap between releases has been getting shorter and shorter, and now it's pretty much back to how it started. People love to twist this stuff lately, but they conveniently forget one pretty important detail. Episodes 3 and 4 were developed at the same time. That's the only reason the gap between them was so short. And yeah, we already talked about the other Digital Circus leaks and behind-the-scenes stuff, so no need to rehash that again. But hey, since we're calling this the new drama, let's talk about some real drama, the kind that hasn't happened yet, but very well could. And nope, it's not about episode 5. Some info is literally screaming at us that episode 6 might bring the biggest drama in the entire history of the Digital Circus, and everything tied to it. Everyone perfectly understands how much influence Jax has on the other characters.
You, me, and Pomni will go check on Kaufmo, which leaves Crybaby and Hoo-Ha together to go handle the Zubul situation.
I want to see what your funny cartoon body does.
Hey, take it easy.
Oh, take it easy, that's you.
Hey, that's good of you, Pomni.
Let's take this dumb truck to the dumb kingdom, I guess.
Obviously, this kind of behavior is typical for a character with no moral boundaries. Now, let's recall the old leak that assigned each character to a specific episode. Episode 6 was originally considered Jax's episode, and even if we look back at Gooseworx's December update, where they mentioned that the original division was rather loose and episodes 5 and 6 would be split evenly, we still can't ignore that initial leak. No matter how you look at it, episode 6 is going to have a strong focus on Jax. Now let's go back to Tumblr. Goose straight up said in one of their posts that episode 5 would be the last of the so-called calm episodes. And if we think about everything that's happened in the previous episodes...
Everyone all right?
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear you over the knives.
Hey, Gangle, you should ram into him.
Where are we? Oh, that's...
And if, according to Gooseworx, this is just the calm before the storm, then things are already getting seriously terrifying, yet, at the same time, insanely exciting. What exactly awaits us in episodes 6, 7, 8, and 9? For now, let's stick with this, and go back to the time when the deal with Netflix was signed. The audience generally reacted warmly to it, but some felt that bringing indie animation to streaming services was a betrayal of the genre. And right around that time, Goose made a post saying, "It sucks that YouTube censorship is so aggressive. If there are any moments in future TADC episodes that are censored on YouTube and not censored on Netflix, that's why." I guess that's another positive to the streaming deals and why they're worth pursuing in the first place. Still annoying though. And it almost feels like Gooseworx is hinting that we might see something truly on the edge in the future. Now we're getting to the most intense part, and I want you to view everything that follows through the lens of this post from Gooseworx. Over time, she has only strengthened her stance, making it clear that she won't be adjusting her vision to fit anyone else's expectations. I also remembered a Twitter post from almost a year ago that supports nearly everything we've just discussed. On one hand, it confirms that Episode 6's script was written over a year ago, which makes the idea of Jax being the main focus even more logical. At the same time, it reinforces Goose's words about censorship. And if we're talking about a sex joke, I'm almost 1,000,000% sure that Jax will be the one to make it. He's never held back when it comes to his choice of words.
And Zooble turned straight.
My limbs straighten up and f*** off.
Violence.
Wait, Pomni's not even here? Wasn't this whole thing for
Be
her?
quiet. I can't hear the escalator.
Wouldn't that more likely mean the exit does exist?
Could also mean you just have a jump start and losing your mind.
That's exactly why, after putting all the pieces together, I'm more than sure that Episode 6 will come with some kind of drama. The only open question at this point is how it will happen. It's possible that a joke will be so, let's say, explosive that all of Twitter will latch onto it. And in that case, there will definitely be people who won't like it. As for the idea that a joke could violate YouTube's guidelines, leading to Episode 6 being released exclusively on Netflix, I highly doubt it. I'd put the chances at around 0.5% at best. There's also a chance that a single wrong word could trigger a wave of backlash against Gooseworx. There are so many possible ways this could play out, and all we can really do is wait and speculate about what might actually happen. But something is bound to go down, and here's why. You might say that they wouldn't take such a risk for the sake of a joke, and I'd partly agree with you. We're not going to see the kind of garbage that pops up on content farm channels, but indie animation exists so that creators can express their thoughts and showcase their creativity in the way they want. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, so I'd love to read your comments. And of course, this won't be the only drama surrounding the amazing digital circus or Gooseworx. Let's take a look back at some of the most significant ones. And no, I won't be covering minor dramas, like the one with Animinus, because that situation was pretty straightforward. Of course, content farm channels have a negative impact on the activities of those who are really trying hard to produce quality and original content, and the most striking example of such farms is the Hornstromp network of channels that have been in the business for several years, trying to squeeze maximum profit out of every new popular show or game. It seems to me that Gooseworx is having a hard time with these channels taking advantage of her work, and there is nothing she can do about it. One user responded that people are just having fun this way, but Goose responded by saying that if it was fan work, there would be no problems or issues. The obvious implication is that these channels are not stamping content for the sake of ideas but for money, and they are hardly fans either. And just a couple of hours later, Gooseworx published a mock mini-comic which is designed to illustrate the whole situation. In the first scene, a fan says, "Goose, please do something about these content farm channels. They're ruining the show." And you can see that Goose doesn't react to this and just stands there silently, but then in the second image she replies, "Because it originates from a content farm video." I'd prefer if people made their own design or latched onto something made by an actual fan, and shows that very image. Well, in the third image, we see a reference to a previous post where the user said that these people are just having fun. Judging by her tweets, she received some criticism from fans of the digital circus, and someone suggested she just file a complaint against the content farm channels. But apparently most people don't understand how some YouTube processes work, and that's exactly what Gooseworx pointed out in her next post, saying, "What do you want me to do about it? The amazing digital circus isn't on my channel, so I can't copyright strike them, and even if could, isn't there an unspoken rule about copyright striking videos you don't like? Like, I'm pretty sure that's always been frowned upon." And that's actually a very smart stance because on YouTube, a lot of people help each other, but you always have to realize where the line ends that you can't cross. I think that both Gooseworx and the Glitch channel team have often received links to all these videos from the user, and in this case, it's clear that her nervous system couldn't take it, and she decided to respond once and for all, both to those who make such content and those who send it. Also, we know that Jax is her favorite, and many fans and not only started to redraw him just from the images of those channels that are content farms. And when she also expressed her displeasure on this topic, she started receiving various messages like this in response. Also, when Goose wrote that she had not been feeling well lately, she was immediately answered that during her absence there had been a huge number of copycats on TikTok and other platforms. I think the best thing to do in this situation is to just ignore such content and not publicize it to the world so that it continues to exist in its bubble.